This is definitely the most sinister movie of 2024. It is said that the film has just finished shooting. Actor Yu Jin suddenly developed severe phobia inexplicably. Friendly reminder. High energy ahead. Hurry and watch it with your best friends. There was a rumor during the Republic of China period that one should not stay in the last room at the corner of a hotel when traveling. Two young men refused to believe in the superstition and dared to check into a room on Qingming Festival. But in the middle of the night, Qianhe suddenly woke up and walked out of the room. He then went to the end of the corridor and pushed the door open. After hearing some noises, Fu Sheng quietly followed behind. However, he could never have imagined that behind the door was a bizarre, large bar. There, apart from a few pale-faced officers with sinister smiles, there were no other customers. Even Qianhe's whereabouts were unknown. But what surprised Fu Sheng the most was that there was someone he knew in this place. Su Lian. The woman did not greet him. She just gave him a cold glance. However, an officer nearby had already noticed that Fu Sheng did not belong here. I've been discovered. Accompanied by a scream, both were startled awake at the same time. Qianhe told Fu Sheng with a face full of terror that he had a strange dream. The dream featured corridors and a strange bar, as well as several officers and the long-dead Su Lian. I saw it too. That was not a dream. Qianhe cried out that he had encountered a ghost and ran home in a panic. Fu Sheng was so frightened that he jumped off a building that very day. Fortunately, he was lucky and managed to save his own life. After returning home, Qianhe began to suffer from a lack of spirits. In order to bring joy to his son, Master Qian decided to have Qianhe marry Saihan. Unexpectedly, on the night of the wedding, Qianhe encountered a series of strange phenomena. In the end, he was literally scared to death. To investigate the cause of his friend's death, Fu Sheng personally rushed back to the village. But as soon as he arrived at the Qian family home, he saw old Master Qian digging a hole in the courtyard and claiming he planned to bury his son at home. Such deep father-son affection deeply impressed Fu Sheng. But while he was keeping vigil for Qianhe, he unexpectedly dreamed that Qianhe was sending him a message from beyond, saying there was a ghost in the house. Fu Sheng was skeptical yet somewhat convinced. Just as he was preparing to leave, he unexpectedly discovered old Master Qian, who had just been full of sorrow, was now frolicking with a woman in the room. Fu Sheng peeked through a crack in the window, and to his shock, the woman was the already deceased Su Lian. This scene frightened Fu Sheng so much that he hurriedly hid in a nearby firewood shed. But what he didn't expect was that Qianhe's newlywed wife, Sihan, was also hiding there. It turns out they all noticed something odd about old Master Qian, and when they saw old Master Qian come out, Fu Sheng was completely dumbfounded. What the old man was holding in his arms wasn't Su Lian. It was clearly a freshly made female paper effigy. Su Lian? Qianhe is already dead. Don't come back again in the future. The very next morning, Fu Sheng knocked on his master's door. Master Zhong, the paper effigy maker, was a well-known sorcerer in the area. Fu Sheng wanted to ask him to help investigate the cause of Qianhe's death. And just as the two of them were on their way to the Qian household, a strange incident occurred with the opera troupe they had invited. Before the performance began, the god statue worshipped by the opera troupe actually broke. Boss Dao. Why did the revered god statue break? How could it break? This is an ominous sign. The townspeople all warned that they shouldn't perform the play. But the troupe leader, Boss Dao, was not afraid at all, insisting on performing. And he even wanted to perform with more vigor. Little did they know that this action could lead to a major disaster. Meanwhile, Fu Sheng was arranged by his master to come and help. And while making paper effigies, he accidentally cut his finger. A drop of blood happened to fall on the paper effigy's eye, and instantly seeped into it. The effigy's eyes were dotted, and evil spirits took advantage. Today was destined for strange occurrences. Just at that moment, on another stage, Boss Dao seemed to have gone mad, suddenly stopped singing the opera, and instead cursed Su Lian, calling her a vixen. There seemed to be a deep-seated hatred between the two. It turns out that 10 years ago, Su Lian and Boss Dao were both pillars of the opera troupe. Boss Dao had a seductive figure, and with just a few poses, he could enchant a crowd of men. However, as soon as Su Lian appeared, she didn't need to ingratiate herself with the audience. She simply sat elegantly on a chair. Those men just now immediately abandoned Boss Dao. All of them crowded around Su Lian. Miss Su Lian has a refined temperament, but with Su Lian's departure, the entire opera troupe instantly became deserted, so much so that she harbored deep resentment towards Su Lian. Just at that moment, Boss Dao saw in the crowd a girl wearing a bridal dress appeared. She was convinced that it was Su Lian's ghost. She was so frightened that she dared not put on another play. She hurriedly left with the opera troupe. However, when they reached the woods, the horses pulling the carts stopped in their tracks. No matter how they urged them, the horses refused to move a step. At this moment, Boss Dao was finally scared. She was so terrified that she kept praying to the gods for protection. However, when she found that praying was ineffective, she started tearing the skin on her arms as if she had gone mad. Paperman Zhong and Fu Sheng happened to witness this scene. The master clearly didn't want to meddle in others' affairs. Taking Fu Sheng with him, he left. But it wasn't long before Sihan found Jiren Zhong and wanted to ask for his help in investigating the cause of Qianhe's death. Privately, she was Qianhe's wife who had just married into the family. Publicly, she was the daughter of the security team leader. She had reasons that necessitated knowing the truth. Although Jiren was reluctant to get involved, he ultimately couldn't bear to refuse Sihan. So he went to the Qian family himself to investigate. As soon as he entered, he instructed Fusheng and Sihan to guard the front and back sides of the courtyard respectively, and he lit the candle in his hand. If there was any sign of the candlelight going out, they were to throw a handful of glutinous rice on the ground to suppress any evil spirits. If the candle went out in the process, remember, you must run. The farther the better. Leave everything else to me. After Jiren finished giving instructions, he took a talisman in his hand and headed towards the ancestral hall. Fusheng watched the burning candle. He couldn't help but think of 3 months ago. That was the last time he met with Qianhe. At that time, Qianhe told him some news, saying that Su Lian had already died, and that she had been driven to death by the villagers. Could it be that all of this was the ghost of Su Lian seeking revenge? Just at that moment, a cold wind blew through. Watching the flickering candle flame, Fusheng hurriedly scattered a handful of glutinous rice. The candle indeed reignited, but the next second, the candle suddenly went out. Fusheng didn't have time to scatter more glutinous rice. And on the other side, Sihan faced the same situation. The two could only follow their master's instructions to push the door open and leave the Qian household. And just at that moment, another major event occurred at the Qian family. The servants discovered a corpse in the coffin. It had actually turned into old Master Qian, and the body of his son, Qianhe, had unexpectedly disappeared. Alright, that's the end of today's story. Due to copyright issues, interested little ones are advised to watch the newly released movie Doll Bride. I am Xiaoban. See you next time.